In the depths of an endless ocean, before time and life began, one ancient god ruled the chaos as Nun, the embodiment of the primordial waters. From darkness, he shaped the first spark of creation, giving rise to a world of light, land, and life. But when the balance of life is threatened, will Nun once again emerge from the depths? Dive into the origin of everything with the myth of Nun. In the vast emptiness of pre-creation, there was only Nun, the god of the primordial waters. Nun wasn't just a deity but the embodiment of a boundless, dark, and silent ocean. It stretched infinitely in every direction, without form or structure, without time or life. None existed in this eternal abyss, an endless sea of potential, where chaos and calm intertwined. These were the primordial waters, the very source from which all things would eventually come to be. None, in this vastness, represented the primordial chaos that had existed before any form of order. His waters swirled endlessly, but there was no separation, no earth, no sky, no stars, just the infinite, featureless deep. Yet, within this chaos lay the potential for all creation, hidden in the quiet and dark depths of Nun's domain. Despite being the essence of unformed chaos, Nun was not an uncaring force. He was a being filled with a deep, ancient wisdom, and he recognized that within the swirling waters, there was the possibility for something greater. For eons, Nun drifted through his watery domain, contemplating what lay within. He felt the pressure of creation building, a desire for the chaos to give birth to something new, something that would bring order and light to the vast darkness that surrounded him. Then, in a moment of divine will, Nun decided to act. Drawing upon his ancient powers, he began to stir the depths of his watery realm. The calm surface began to ripple, the stillness disrupted by a powerful force. The waters churned, spinning into a tempest as Nun gathered his energy. From within the depths, a brilliant light began to form. It started as a mere spark, but it grew brighter and brighter, expanding with a radiant energy that had never before existed. This was the birth of Ra, the sun god, the first being to emerge from the primordial waters of Nun. Ra's light burst forth from the chaos, piercing the darkness and illuminating the void. His presence brought warmth and energy, and for the first time, the primordial waters were bathed in light. Nun watched in awe as his creation, Ra, rose above the waters, shining brightly and bringing with him the possibility of life. As Ra ascended, he began to shape the world. His light separated the waters from the sky, creating a distinction between above and below. The dry land emerged from the depths, forming the first islands that broke the surface of Nun's endless sea. These lands were barren at first, but they held the promise of life that Ra's light would soon bring. Plants began to sprout, and the first forms of life emerged, nourished by the sunlight and the waters of Nun. Nun, although he had created Ra, chose not to interfere with this new order. He receded into the background, sinking deeper into the abyss. He watched over the world from below, content to see life flourish in the light of Ra. While Nun remained in the shadows, his waters continued to nurture the land. Rivers flowed from the deep, providing life-giving water to the plants and animals that had begun to inhabit the earth. Nun was present in every stream and every ocean, silently supporting the life that had emerged from his chaos. Ra, now ruling over the land and sky, became the dominant force of the world. He brought warmth, light, and energy, creating a balance between the land and the waters. Yet, while Ra ruled the day, Nun's influence remained ever present in the background. The people who would come to inhabit the earth would later learn to worship both Nun and Ra, recognizing that without the primordial waters, life could not exist. The world began to take shape as Ra's light shone upon the earth, but it was Nun's waters that flowed through the veins of creation. Every river, every lake, every ocean was a reminder of the primordial chaos from which life had emerged. The people would come to understand that, while Ra represented order and light, Nun was the source of all potential, the deep, silent force that lay beneath the surface of existence. As the first civilizations began to form along the banks of rivers, they honored Nun as the father of all gods, the one who had given birth to creation itself. They built temples and made offerings to him, seeking his blessings for the continued flow of life-giving water. Nun, though silent, remained ever watchful, ensuring that the balance between chaos and order, between water and land, was maintained. Though Nun had retreated into the depths, his story was far from over. The people of the earth, living in the light of Ra, would soon find themselves in need of the god of the primordial waters once more. Chaos, like the waters of Nun, was never fully tamed, and when the balance of life was threatened, Nun would rise again to restore order. The cycle of creation and destruction would continue, as Nun, the eternal force of the deep, remained at the heart of it all. This was only the beginning of Nun's tale, a reminder that in the chaos of life, there is always the potential for new creation. As long as the waters flowed, so too would the legacy of Nun, the father of all creation, the silent god of the abyss. As Ra's light continued to illuminate the world, life thrived on the land, and the people revered both the sun god and Nun, the silent deity of the deep. The waters of Nun flowed through every river and ocean, providing sustenance to all living things. But, despite this harmony, the balance between chaos and order remained fragile, for Nun's essence, representing both creation and destruction, was ever present beneath the surface. Years passed, and the people began to take the abundance of water and life for granted. Ra's light had become the symbol of their prosperity, and the worship of Nun, the primordial god, began to fade. As civilization expanded, rivers were diverted, and lands were drained to accommodate growing cities and farms. The people forgot the ancient powers of the waters, and the temples of Nun fell into disrepair. His name became but a whisper in the annals of history. But the power of Nun, though hidden, could not be ignored forever. One year, a great drought swept across the land. The rivers dried up, the crops withered, and the people grew desperate. They prayed to Ra, but no rains came, and the sun blazed ever hotter in the sky. The once thriving lands became parched, and the people feared the end was near. In their desperation, they remembered the ancient stories of Nun, the god of the waters, who had created the world from chaos. They sought his aid once again. The priests, who still remembered the forgotten rites, gathered by the banks of the last remaining river. They performed the ancient rituals, offering prayers and sacrifices to Nun, pleading for the return of the life-giving waters. The earth trembled in response, and deep below the surface, the primordial waters stirred. Nun, moved by the people's pleas, rose from the depths of his slumber. He had not forgotten his role as the source of all life. As Nun awakened, the waters began to surge. The rivers, once dried and barren, overflowed with fresh water, and the rains returned, replenishing the land. The drought ended, and life flourished once more. The people, grateful for Nun's intervention, restored his temples and honored him alongside Ra. They learned to respect the waters and to understand that without balance, life could not continue. Nun's legacy lived on in the hearts of the people. They understood now that while Ra ruled the skies, Nun was the foundation of all existence, the primordial force from which life itself had emerged. The cycle of chaos and order was never-ending, and Nun's waters would forever flow beneath the surface, waiting for the time when the world would once again need his guiding hand. His silent presence ensured that life would continue, as long as the balance was respected. And so, the myth of Nun, the god of the primordial waters, endured through the ages, a reminder that even in the darkest chaos, the seeds of creation are always present. As we reflect on the story of Nun, remember that even in times of chaos and uncertainty, there is always potential for new beginnings. Just as the waters of creation brought life to a barren world, may you find inspiration to create, grow, and embrace the challenges ahead. Let the balance of chaos and order guide you in your own journey. And before you go, don't forget to hit that subscribe button, give this video a like, and share your thoughts in the comments below. Stay inspired, and see you in the next story.